One. Uh-oh. You should not be feeding through there. That's a bad thing that's happening right there. Okay, how about that? Okay, that'll get us there. So we're going to do that and that. Okay, I should have audio coming through there. I do. It's been just a kind of a strange morning now to be back here with my voice. Hello, hello. Sonia, good morning. So had my morning gone a little bit better over there on, I can bring it into frame here, we would have invoked a little bit of the fulcrum into the mix here, but unfortunately that was not to be in the plan. I've just had all these little gremlins happening here, and what I've got going today is a little bit of, let's let's see if I can get you guys unmuted here. There we go. I got some wet, dry, mixed wet going on. I got a couple of snapshots here. This should just be... kind of the basic sound there. This brings an octave down. This guy's got the chorus there. And had I had a chance to kind of not have the gremlins in my system, make my day a little bit more of a challenge than it needed to be. There's a volume pedal here that's basically hooked up in this preset here. That is this little critter right there. It looks about like that. That should have the fulcrum hooked up, and downstream from that volume pedal, there are the sends to the delay and the reverb that are on separate paths, such that I can kind of create them separately before bringing them back together. In any case, it's been an interesting morning. There's nothing like, at 8:52, it's like it's still not working, and obviously I still didn't have the voice set. In any case, stop my complaining. This is Doppler's Shred Garage. Okay, forget Black Friday. It's Shred Saturday. Yes, I love that. Holy cow! In spite of the the challenges, it's nice to be here. Finally got my act together. Good morning, Eric. Great to see you. Thanks so much. It took a little bit of hoop dancing. All right, Captain Scarlet, what's happening, my man? Okay, Mel, thanks for stopping by. Always a pleasure. And thanks for all your great cooking on Thanksgiving. Yes, so what we're hearing, as I kind of ran through there a moment ago, I've just got kind of a wet, dry, mix, wet setup that's coming across 4 channels, but there's this internal gremlin happening inside my system here. Francesco, my new Italian buddy, was like, hey, can you do a rundown of kind of, what's happening on this side of things? And so in the back of my mind, I'm like, given the fact I can't get rid of this gremlin, I don't consider myself much of an expert, because there's this thing happening in the background where audio is seeping around this application I use called Loopback. And it's been a little bit of a kind of a 24-hour flu. Okay, so Brett, good morning. I was thinking about you. I was hoping I was going to say, you've been missed, my friend. So that's our chorus sound. Here's our octave sound. The thing that's really cool about it, I'll just go to my non-chorus, non-octavey guy. Got a gate in there. Let me ungate myself. Ungate your heart. Dun, 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 dun. Let's go into this mode here. Where's my gate? My gate on here. Hang on a second. There it is. So the cool thing about using a gate on a sound like this is that if you set it right, you can kind of get it. First of all, look, mono hands, right? And so the neat thing is, and what's not, pardon my expression, pissing through is that. And it's something that I kind of learned in the process of, you can't see Mr. JP2C, but he's floating around somewhere here with his dual graphic EQ. I think that's him over there. Hey, John. But the thing is that using that gate to just kind of keep things quiet, so that when you finish a phrase, you You can literally come off the strings, and if it's set right in the gate in here, this is just the hard gate. Pretty much guaranteed to break that G string if you keep doing that. In any case, so I am loving Stadium, honestly. So I'm an old school line sixer. I date back to the dinosaurs and to Pod HD 500 and HD 500X. And so Mike is dead. And the mic is back. There we go. Yeah, I killed the mic. Thank you. The mic is back. Hello, good morning, Sonny. Always a pleasure. I can't hear you. Okay. Doug talks but have no voice. That could be ironic. No. Okay. I think I appreciate. Hey, Ron, what's happening? Do I know you yet? If not, that's a virtual handshake. It was just kind of an upside down morning, so it's been like that. The guitar sound is nice but loud. One of my gremlins I'm not going to be able to fix. There's a strange thing where sound is bleeding around this application called Loopback. And I've gone through a bunch of stuff over the past 24 hours where it's just kind of, you can't see where it's bleeding through. I can't tell whether it's console or Loopback, but between the two of them, it's a thing. So my apologies that the levels are a little imbalanced. There's not going to be much I can do about that other than from my room talkback volume, I can bring this mix down. So let's bring you like that. But when I want to go back and play over the track again, which is one of the things I want to do. All right, that'll work for now. All right, thanks for the heads up. I always appreciate the feedback. Brett, hello. We had a great Thanksgiving. Always a pleasure to see you, my friend. Hello. Brian, I can't hear the vocals, but the guitar is great. Well, there are worse problems in the world. Hello, Brian. Good morning. Is this the same Brian that I know of Kim Jones, or is this a different Brian Jones? If not, good morning. I don't think we've met, so if you're a different Brian Jones, pleasure. All right, there I am. All right, good. All right, I'm bonjour. Good morning, Kareem. Great to see you, my friend. Okay, Mark, hello. Okay, question. Okay, all right. So we got our first question of the day, so I'm going for it. Captain Scarlet, question, not a criticism, great way to lead. Thank you, by the way. With the changes and customizations you've done to the V, does it still sound like a Gibson? With modelers, does the guitar matter anymore? That's a really great question. So the starting place, the better part of a decade ago, the very first Vi Academy that I was a part of was called All About the Guitar. And in that particular camp, one of the things that happened was Steve traced back the origin of the gem. And he talked about how, he was looking or being approached by various manufacturers, and Ibanez were the ones who really said, we want to build you the guitar that you want to build. Now, what some of you know and some of you don't know is when I went down to GIT in 1984, and I recently came across phone number, Mr. Joe Satriani gave me this guy, Steve Vai's phone number. And so when I went down to Los Angeles, once I got there, I called Steve, and he was playing at this little venue called the Music Machine, and he had this bass player you might have heard of named Stu Ham. So that was kind of my first encounter, meeting Steve in person and actually meeting Stu. And then kind of shortly after that, I kind of became a glorified roadie and kind of would help them load their gear around here and there. And so in the process of that experience, I was around Steve when he was still using the quote-unquote natural Fender that he had literally just taken the router to and routed basically the precursor for what you see on the Gem, where the body's routed like that. Steve was like, hey, you know what? For me to get the trim to sit at the right spot as it relates to the neck, you end up having to, on a Strat, route into the body. Because of the neck angle and the way it's set on this instrument, we didn't have to do that. And the thing is, it sits up a little bit from the body. So, but the idea is to kind of keep that angle without having to reset the neck, be it on a Fender or a Gibson. But one of the things about that early Fender was, in many ways, it had the things that became the Gem guitar. And so the Gem, is it a Strat? No. Is it a Les Paul? No. Is it a Super Strat? Yes. And Steve really wanted to have all the things that he wanted to have on board in terms of wide aperture, humbucking pickup. So this is a hum canceling P90, but it's not really like this pickup or this pickup, which is really, quote unquote, a double coil pickup. It's not. Although there's probably a second dummy coil underneath it to cancel the hum. I don't know actually how that works on this. But the point being is a traditional wide aperture hum canceling pickup. Here's the string from two different places. So it's not just that it cancels the hum, but it actually has a wider field, hence wide aperture. It's like opening the lens for a wider amount of, I guess, a larger amount of light. You open the aperture. So the same thing happens. You get more of the sound of the string. So it has a fuller sound if you think about a bridge pickup on a stock Strat and you think about a bridge pickup on a Les Paul. Well, the idea is you take the character of the instrument and then you begin to refine it a little bit more for what you might like to do. So I don't think I've ever seen a Flying V with a P90. So one of the things, I'm in the number 2 pickup selection. I'm going to walk this down in just a minute. But let me get over to here. I want to get into more. I don't want to get into combo mode. I'm on snapshot 1. Okay. So the idea, number 2 pickup selection, when I'm down there, and I've got both volumes on. A bit of volume back. Stratty and Les Pauly at the same time, bringing the volume up. It's still sweet, but it's got some oomph to it. The middle position, which normally is a position we avoid, like, you know. This is the Satch track with a gold appointment, and then in the number 4 position is a combination of the Sat track and a hum canceling mini humbucker, because it's a mini humbucker. Nice little intimate vibe, and then all the way to there. And obviously this is decidedly very Stratty, right? So the answer is the goal was to make it a Super V and take everything that I love, like a 5-way switch. One of the things that I did that I thought was kind of clever until I realized it wasn't my idea. I was at Sweetwater and they had like a Gibson day when I was doing something for I was there with Isoacoustics. That's who it was. Couldn't remember the name of the brand. I've got these beautiful stands of theirs in here. So the deal is, but there was a Gibson they had there that was a Flying V that I found a photo of that they had actually done this. So this is a traditional Les Paul appointment in that your average Flying V has got the 3 controls like this and the switch right there. And for me, do I have my, yeah, I've got that camera. Hang on a second. Let me get over to you. I think you're on camera. Switcher, or can I use you as a switcher? No, you need to be in switcher mode. All right, fine. Be that way. There we go. So the deal is your traditional Flying V. This is the switch, and I was kind of looking at this, and it was so funny. Steve at one of the camps was, oh, you got all my my stuff over there. Hold on, there we go. What stuff? So the deal is, this is normally where the switch is, and the thing is, this is the master tone, as I recall. And this is the volume for the bridge pick, or the neck pickup, as I recall, and the volume for the bridge pickup, or the reverse. On the Flying V, it is just nuts. So if you played another guitar and try and make sense of this, it's just impossible. But I was looking at this, and I was looking at the position of where the switch was, and I was like, you know what? We can do the traditional Les Paul volume tone for bridge pickup, volume and tone for the neck pickup, and that's what we did. So I thought I was being incredibly crafty until I realized that I had seen that same configuration actually on a Flying V on a guitar that they had at Gibson. But it's still a really logical way, if you're a Gibson player, to be able to kind of take the best of the Gibson world. Now, what's interesting about this setup is the volume controls are somewhat interactive. So if I'm down here on the number 2 pickup selection, I believe this will work down here. So the amount of gain that'll come through to the bridge pickup is controlled in part by what's happening at the neck. But collectively, this is the second one. The other V is... Well, there's multiple V's around here. Where are you? Come here. Come here. My little love. So this is V number 1, and this is not routed in the back the way this one is. So this one's going to be heading to Gary Brower to get routed proper. The top mount Flying V is a really great deal if you do not want to kind of do any serious routing on the back of your guitar. However, I found that to do all the crazy stuff that I want to be able to do, most importantly, the ability to... that stuff, I really missed it. And the thing is that the top mount FRX just doesn't really stay in tune when you have it set to float like that. So there you have it. Okay, by the way, I can see there are a bunch of people here in the room here. If there's anybody that I haven't met, my name is Doug. Welcome to Doppler's Gear Garage. And you are welcome to ask any questions, and I'll do my best to possibly answer them. I've obviously got the new stadium here, so if there are any new Line 6 people that I haven't met, welcome. And, you know, I may not be able to answer your question, but I'll do my best to answer it. And I'm in the midst of kind of getting ready to do the second round of what I call Helix Stadium Quick Tips. That may become Helix Stadium How-Tos, but I'm kind of spending a bunch of time with this because I've been a Line 6 user and proponent for so many decades at this point. You know, it's neat to have the ability to be part of a launch like this. So in any case, here to help. Okay, so I hope that answered your question. And, you know, so the deal is it's really the best of all the things that I love about different guitars in one instrument. And so it's got the locking nut, and generally it stays in tune pretty darn well. And you know, for me, one of the things that I'm always looking for is I'm looking for an instrument that can traverse a lot of different territories. So for a number of years, my main guitar was an Ibanez S series, which is a mahogany body, boom, with, you know, hum, sing, hum, boom, and a locking tremolo. I'm like, well, that's home for me. So in many ways, you know, the Super Strat was taking a Strat and making it more like a Les Paul. So I'm here in this case, I've kind of taken the element of what makes this a V and turns it into a little bit more of a Super V, where it's headed in the Strat direction. It's really cool because it allowed me to. First of all, it seemed like a great idea, but it wasn't until we put it together it was like it actually worked. It could have been a crap idea. It could have seemed like a great idea, and then you put it together and it just didn't work. Fortunately, it worked really well. Thank you for that question. It's a great question. Tony, hello, my friend. Yeah, shred coffee. By the way, I guess that means that we probably should get down here in the midst of all of this. Hello, hello. Let me get to. There we go. Come on. Where are you? Uh, it's just the technical drama. Literally, when at 9:50, 8:52, you're still kind of going, where are things? Where are my scenes? Hello, come on. Sorry, folks. I'm supposed to look like I'm professional and I know what I'm doing. So the technical difficulties this morning just left things a little crazy. There we go. He knows how to turn on his scenes. Ladies and gentlemen, a very important moment of the day. It's time to raise them up. Let me know where it is that you're coming from, what it is that you're drinking. And by the way, good morning. Got my Pete's Espresso and my muscle milk. I'll take another one of those. Get a little protein going to the system. Okay. So one of the things that we'll be doing as I kind of formulate a little bit more of a strategy about what we'll do on this quote-unquote show is, one, I want to be increasingly taking, if you will, the temperature of what people want in the room, of what they would like to have. One of the things that is important to me is some sort of teaching element, and obviously with a name like Gear Garage, talking about gear is an important thing. So the idea of being able to blend these things, and I see some old friends in there, so good morning. I'm going to get to you in just a moment. Last time we were talking about this high E string business, and I want to revisit this because a lot of what I do, and I had to come up with a word for them. I call them flurries. Unleash the flurry. Any of you speak Ingve? But the idea is it starts from a couple of different important places, and we touched on this last week. We'll delve into this a little bit later. The other thing is, one of the things that I pulled up is this little. Hello. Oh, you're not going to play for me now? It's so you were playing at the beginning. So why? All right. So it's just been like that. So hang on. So Google Chrome, you should have playthrough. So I can't hear you, but everybody else can hear you. Oh, that's great. You can hear the track and I can't. That's just classic. Well, it's been like that. So the deal is, at the top there, you heard me playing through something that's done in an application called Moises.ai, and that's a stemming application. And basically, a few weeks back, and this ties into the teaching portion, I kind of started playing along with this track, Angelia, by Richard Marx, and I am I'm a product in many ways of the 80s and 90s, and that was a song that had just a great melodic structure. And so one of the things for your playing, because increasingly what I'm trying to do is take the posture of what I do and be like, how can I best serve people as they're on their journey? In the process of getting a chance to kind of take steps on my own journey, one of the greatest things that you can do is walk alongside other people and help them in their path. So one of the big things that, as I'm kind of seeing advances in my own playing, what did I learn that I can show other people? And one of the fundamental things that I'm really working on is being able to play without looking, not for the showbitty part of it, although if I'm totally honest, hand on my heart and, so on and so forth, so hope they'll die. The showboaty part, hey, Ma, look, I'm not looking, right? It's actually kind of groovy. But it also stems from a point of connectedness with the instrument that is really important. That is to say, if I go to, I'm going to slightly touch on this and we'll come back to it. But if you go to like a key like B flat, and we... Now, if we look at B flat minor pentatonic, and we spent most of our life in A minor pentatonic, B flat minor pentatonic is this totally freaky key where you had kind of the dots and the space for your pinky notes. Now you got a space and a dot. So everything's upside down. It's one of those keys you're like, the world's turned upside down for those of us that play the guitar visually. And so one of the things that I'm working on with my students, and one of the things I want you to think about, is how you can take a note. Like C sharp and play Mixolydian. I moved out a half step, my bad. step by half step. But instead of playing the guitar by sight, and we'll come back to this, but 99% of you, quote unquote, you look at the guitar, you go to the familiar spots, you play the familiar licks, and the first time you play them, it's amazing, and then kind of it's the law. Like at a certain point, you get really good at them, and then you're repeating yourself. So there's somewhere between that moment of inspiration and perspiration, and then repetition, where you kind of go, well, then at a certain point, it just becomes a downhill part. Well, like I just play the same stuff over and over, and I don't know how to break out of it. So the tactile playing really involves the ear as well. So we're going to get into that into the teaching segment. There we go. Jerry, hello, my friend. I hope you're appropriately beating people up on the ice given the cold weather out there. Not too badly, but badly enough. Gilberto, buenos dias, mi buen amigo. Muchas gracias a usted. And I don't know how to say that's a beautiful photo, but bien, bien. Ramiro, ¿cómo está, mi otro buen amigo? I love those photos. Those are always, I mean, look at that photo. They are so well shot. You know, there's a thing in marketing where you talk about a first, second, and a third read. And the idea is focusing your eyes. And so that photo just really draws you into the center point. It's brilliantly shot. The shadow on the side of your face pulls you into the center of the photo. It's you, your hands. It's just a really great shot. I always love that. So hello. Michael, hello. Coelho. How do I pronounce that? And the vegan rocker, in any case, good morning. Good morning to you. Hello. Okay, Brett, hello, my friend. Great to see you. There you go. Always a pleasure. That makes that neck look really wide. Is that a 7 string or is that a 6 string? Brett, so great question. So they're in the world of gating. So I put the gate, I personally like to put it before the amplifier, because once the amp is up and, let me get over here, make sure I'm where I want to be. There we go. So once the amp is open, it's hit, the funny thing, I don't think I've said it publicly, it's hissing and pissing. It's doing that, right? And so the thing is that if you place in this case, it's just a singular placed hard gate. So some gates can go at the front of the signal and as a sensing point, and actually the gating mechanism actually happens after the amplifier. However, this hard gate for me, come on, there we go. If you listen while I'm playing, you can hear the hum kind of poking through. That much gain, and you'll hear it kind of every so often. If I'm good in the way I kind of, if you will, dismount, that is to say, if I can come off the note without catching the A string, there we go. So what I did was I muted the A string so when the tip of my third finger came up, it didn't catch that string there. And then the gate catches the note, and it's silent. So that is to say the gate, instead of reacting to the amp, is reacting to the guitar. So it's not until I provide enough dB to the gate. There you go. You can hear it. Once you kind of, and what's also neat about it when the gate grabs, you get your tails without any hum. So you can literally have the guitar all the way up, as long as there we go. Get a better dismount, and you get those noises there. And the thing is, you want the gate light enough that you can kind of break the. But you don't want it to break it, to cut into. Realize that note's not in key. But the point being is that it's become an invaluable part of what I do when I'm playing with this sort of a sound. Otherwise, you can get it to go away with the volume control. Nothing wrong with that. And however, if you've got any kind of that stuff going on, love that. Great question. I'm something. Good morning to you, my friend. Always a pleasure. Okay, let's see. Good. Catching up. Jerry Michael, gentlemen, can you talk about the Helix IRs? What's my take? Okay, that is a great question. So, gloves off, total brutal honesty. One of the things they have yet to roll out is all the matching cabinets for the matching amps. So, this bad boy right here, I'm utilizing basically the Panama Red, which is a 5150, but it's using it comes paired with an Uberschall cabinet, which is not the matching cabinet. So that means that, first of all, I love the sound, and I've been having. And one of the most important things you can do what you do with a real amp. They've really done a fabulous job of that. But I would really prefer to have, first of all, that's the T75. I'm almost, that is to say, that is the speaker that's in that cabinet. First of all, I had the privilege at a NAMM show, and let me be clear, I'm not complaining. I'm answering your question. These are the things. What was very important to understand about Stadium is they essentially went to the community and they said, would you rather have the unit earlier and some stuff not worked out, or would you rather wait until all the stuff's kind of all perfect? Like, and everybody, the majority of the people were like, we want it now. Out it came. So with that caveat, the thing is that one of the things that they've worked into the circuitry, which is pure genius, is when you, in my setup here, when I'm utilizing a real amp, 99 times out of 10, I will have an ISO cabinet running, even if I'm using an IR, because the way the amplifier behaves when it's talking to a speaker, there's the talkback effect that affects what's called the speaker impedance curve. And it not only changes the way the speaker, the sound coming out of the speaker, it changes the behavior of the amplifier because of this relationship that's happening as you're playing different notes, different registers, different volume, gain, less gain, different amps, so on and so forth. So the matching cabinet to the matching amp, the conversation I had with a guy named Peter Stapfer, who's business partners with Peter Diesel, as in Diesel Amplifiers. And we were at the NAMM show a couple decades ago, and Peter Stafford was emphasizing the importance that when they're tuning an amplifier, they're using a matching cabinet to do that. So there are decisions that are made on the way that the amplifier is voiced that specifically have to do with the way it's projected out of that cabinet. So that's one of the things. Again, people wanted it sooner than later. I'm sure they're gonna address this. The cabinets actually sound really cool, but having the right cabinet giving its information back to the amplifier is actually the unity that you want, where they're unified. They are intended to be functioning as two pieces of the same body, if you will, one leg and the other walking together. However, the number one thing that is my kind of thing is like, hey, when I can do that, I'm happy, right? I mean, does it matter that it doesn't have the matching cabinet? I'm not mocking you, I'm mocking myself. Doesn't have the matching cabinet, Does it matter if you can pick up the guitar and do what it is that you want to be doing? No, but it allows you to take the other nuance of what Edward, many would refer to as the GOAT, greatest of all time, what was in his head, what was in his fingers, and what he wanted to have come out of the cabinet was part of the equation. They're going to get to it. I have no doubt about it. These guys are flipping great. And this unit is great. And one of the things is the deep editing happens via Wi-Fi. And I had to kind of I had to bring a Wi-Fi extender down to my studio. So I've gotten to know this thing where normally I'm a deep editing fanatic. I've gotten to know it from the touchscreen. And I've actually, and going back to the deep editor, I'm like, I kind of prefer working with the sounds from the face of the unit, which is, for me, a giant change. It means, first of all, for the first time in Line 6 history, the user experience from the unit is better than the user experience from the deep editor. Never been the case. Line 6's deep editors have been historically, and the Fractal guys have they do great stuff, so in no way to slight them, because I'm friendly in that camp as well, because they make great stuff. And the other question that people have is like, well, when and where do you use which product? So as a bunch, I play on Sunday morning, so pretty much every Sunday morning that I've ever played, 99.9% of the time I've either been using Pod HD 500, Pod HD 500X, Helix, and then last week, Helix Stadium. So the point being is that experience, they just kind of own that experience because of the form factor and the ability to do what you need to do there. It just works great. That said, my loud and angry rig is an Axe FX3 that lives in Iraq, and then the JP2C, but I also am a Badlander fan, so I kind of, but as Albert knows, what my favorite thing is to kind of come out of the JP2C, and then there are a couple of different ways you can capture that signal, but one of the things I'll do is bring because it doesn't have Cab Clone IR built into it, I'll run Cab Clone IR out of the back of the amplifier, and in this particular instance, I actually don't have an actual speaker connected to it. Then I'll run that in the Axe FX to split the signal stereo. Then I'll run that into the Power Stage 700, 350 watts per side. And my latest favorite rig is a pair of the vertical 212 boogie cabinets. And the tone is just so severe. And so I kind of know how to find my way in those two different worlds using those two different things. And the funny thing is that this device has got something called Showcase that's going to be coming, which allows you to play along with tracks, and you can set markers where it will literally change presets for you. So, as I look towards touring in 2026, because that's at the very top of my list of what I want to do in 2026 personally, it's almost undoubtedly the first, steppings out are going to be running tracks. So, I'm kind of like, if it's involving any sort of serious travel, the first little bit of it is quite probably going to be, unless I can get the Mesa Boogie folks to backline me in every city that I go to, which I don't anticipate I have that influence in that camp in this moment, and I'm fine with that. It's going to probably be that. Mind you, by that point, they will have brought out their proxy application, and I will have had a chance to capture all my boogie library, and so my boogies will be in the box. However, that is still a little bit different than actually having the boogie sitting there on stage. So I realize that. But it's the ability to actually run your tracks from that, and then also be able to send secondary information out, like to run projection, is going to be really cool. I'm super excited. So yes, Peter Davidek, I think about you every day. So first of all, I love that photo. Look at you, you handsome guy. The bass video is probably going to come next Saturday. It may come midweek, actually, but I've been thinking a lot about it. My apologies for missing that. Alec, how are you, my mad MIDI scientist? Great. First of all, everybody welcome Alec. He is one of the grooviest people in the Helix and extended community. He's a genius. He is a MIDI mad scientist. There are those of us that are midiots, and then there are genii. He's in one of the genii categories. But good morning. Pleasure to be running into you a bunch. So pleasure. David, hello, hello, hello. What, me worry? Absolutely not. Have I ever looked into this Seymour Duncan Bluetooth pickup switch? The whole idea started over here in Italy, I believe. I believe. And it's an amazing idea. If you have to think of remote control for Variacs, if you think of it as of the remote control for Variacs, I absolutely love that. So I'm going to unpack this because this is a place where we're brutally honest. So I am a DiMarzio endorser. Things get a little uncomfortable, and that's kind of the Helix conversation I just had about the Mesa Boogie world. Honestly, I'm not a big enough artist that anybody at Mesa Boogie is going to be crying in their coffee that they see me out there with the Helix Stadium. However, my friends in the Boogie and Gibson community that have invested in me will have a certain level of disappointment if they see me out there with this before they see me with a Boogie, for understandable reasons. The challenge is that my hope is to be able to grab onto the coattails of some of the relationships that I have with some of the guitar players I want to get on tour with, and I will not have the luxury of bringing a band. My whole pitch is like, I come on with tracks, I'm an easy on, and I'm an easy off. I shut up when I need to be quiet, I play when I need to play, and I'm road trained. Easy. So, that's the pitch. So I love that idea. I don't necessarily know how the DiMarzio folks would love that, but I need to check that out. So I love that. So thank you for bringing that to my attention. I did not know it existed. And by the way, thank you and happy Thanksgiving to all. Sean, a pleasure. Look at that cool kid. Love seeing the V and how you tried to. Oh, thanks so much, my friend. Right back at you. All right. Okay. Ported 112 cabinets. Your thoughts? The sound for metal and rock sustainable 412 replacement at lower volume rooms. First of all, Fram, hello, hello, hello. Great to, hold on. Let's see if did I bring you in and then send you out? Okay. Great question. So those are the Power Cab Pluses. And I actually don't have them up in the room because short version, this is a wet, dry, mix, wet rig. And the concept is as follows, that if here we go. And I ended up reversing it. Oh. Okay, there we go. That's what we did right. So this guy right here. So that is just kind of the raw guitar. Let me get back up to stomp. Let me get up to... No, I want to be here. I want to be combo. Thank you. So snapshot 1 is just kind of the guitar. And then when I go to snapshot 2, now in theory, if this is going through properly, and I've got a routing issue that's happening. Oh no, this should work. Okay. All right, there's the one side, and here. All right, it's not routed right. All right, so in theory, it should be on the one side. Should not have the octave on. And so it should just be on one side, since the idea is that you are creating a stereo signal, right? There we go. A stereo signal that is separate from the wet effects on the hard left and hard right. You've got a dry and a mix of whatever effect that you're blending in, such that you always have a pure signal that's going on there. But with all the kind of this like I said, I've got this gremlin that's happening in the background here with some of my routing. And this is one of the things I didn't get a chance to test, which is one of the reasons I ended up not shooting this wet, dry, mix, wet video yet, because I've still got a little bit of stuff I need to double check is working properly. However, that was using the PowerCab 112. So that's the, except for the 212 there, PowerCab Plus. The rig that I had set up before that was using PowerCab CL, which, to your point, is an open back, full range, flat response environment that has the ability to load emulations onto the built-in speaker and IRs of those emulations that get forwarded front of house. Kind of the best of both worlds. But that guy is an open back enclosure. So to your point, Fram, one of the things that I tested there was how it responded with a kind of a chunk thing. And I was actually really, really impressed. Because for those of us, there's like 20 plus 412 cabinets in this room. So if a 412 cabinet is your jam, or the Boogie vertical 212s, the horizontal 12s are a little too woofy for me. What I love about the vertical 212s, they got a little bit more high end, and they're just, because the top is angled back, you get that interplay on a smaller, more shallow stage where if you need to hear that top speaker coming back at you, you can. The other thing is it's a lot easier to load a 212 than a 412, no duh. But the other thing is you can easily put those 212s on opposite side of the stage and get a little bit of spatial separation. The point being is that for those of us that are used to playing with a closed back cabinet, for a closed back experience, for a high gain thing where we get, and this isn't the best patch for it, because noticeably it's going to be a little floppy in the bottom end, but I got the octave on this right now. But for that, there's a little bit of versus, but in terms of for the shreddy stuff, works for me. But again, if you're looking for that really kind of punch you in the chest kind of vibe, the open back cabinet, I was really impressed with how well it did. It's not the same as a 412 closed back cabinet. However, I was like, oh, this does really well. Ideally, in a perfect world, and having had a chance kind of in back-to-back weeks played with the CL and those guys, I was really impressed with how well CL brought the feel of a closed back cabinet. That said, these guys are kind of, they're considerably more expensive, and they're all closed back, the 112 plus and then the 212 plus. And there is a noticeable, they're not up in the room right now, but there is a noticeable way that they respond in terms of the fact that it is an enclosure, so there's no sound escaping out of the back, which means it's, of course, being projected forward like a traditional 412. So if you're looking for a recommendation of one or the other, if the 412 experience is much more your thing, I would say the PowerCab Plus is probably going to be a better way to go. The other thing that I would strongly suggest would be to march down to a retailer that has a selection of them, or take a road trip and get a chance to plug them all in. I am not really a fan of the kind of wedge, getting a wedgie. I don't think anybody's really a fan of getting a wedgie, and if they are, it's a different conversation that we won't be having on this show. But the point being is that a traditional monitor, for those of us that play live, how many great experiences have we had playing with a monitor? There's one, and that was at a place in London. I was on tour opening for Gilby Clarke, and whoever built these monitors, first of all, your average monitor is built for somebody with a mic in their hand doing this. I don't do that. So a great floor monitor / wedge for a guitar player is a different thing than what a vocalist needs. but there was this club in London that just like I plugged in, and at that point I was touring with the Boss GT6 direct into the PA, and the sound coming out of them. Actually, no, I was running that into the loop or whatever amp was backline. My rider was I had to have an amp with a loop, and the GT6 went into the back of the amp into the power amp in, and that's what basically got mic'd up front of house, and that's how I did it. I wasn't running direct out of the GT6. But what was coming back out of the monitor was like one of the best guitar sounds I've ever heard. I was like, wow, it was magic. And when you go night to night, you really begin to realize the deficiencies of your average floor monitors. They do everything that you don't want a bottom end to do. They're kind of saggy, and they get a kind of a rumble inside the enclosure. They're not optimized for guitars. So that is to say, one of the solutions that's out there, and I have to preempt myself and say I haven't played through the Alto monitor, but generally speaking, the enclosure makes a big difference. So the shape of the enclosure, a traditional guitar enclosure, I also did a series of videos for Celestion on their full-range live response speakers. And basically what I did was I went to my offsite storage, and I rated all the different devices that I had. It's a little too hard to get to. No, those are stock JC speakers. No, it's in a case. All right. But basically what I did was I took a number of different guitar amps, pulled out the stock speaker, and put in either the F12X 150 or the F12X 200. Might have added a character to the 150 that wasn't in there. But the point being is that one is 150 watts rated and the other's 200 watts rated. And they have a slightly different top end, but they're basically full range live response. They're designed to respond like a guitar speaker, but they're designed to play back IRs. But the idea is they're also intended to be put into a traditional enclosure. So one of my JC 120s, I took out the stock speakers and put in two of the Celestians. There was a Marshall 412 that I put in four of them, and I think I put them in an X pattern, and that way I could mic up the two different ones. Generally speaking, I think I mic the top ones because those are the speakers that you hear when you're on stage, right? You might feel the bottom speakers, but the ones that you're hearing, and because of their A cabinets, they sound a little bit different than the bottom part of the cabinet because it's angled back, right? So there's less cabinet in there than there is in the bottom. So the way the speaker is responding as it's, first of all, if you think about, and this is just an application of one of the things I know about sound. There's a venue in Portland called the Roseland Theater that is a square cement box. And you get these things called standing waves. And the closer it is to square, the more you get this kind of strange thing where everything just starts to get live in the room. But once you add some bodies in there, it kind of can be kind of a cool thing. But the point being is I think when the speaker is square off with the back wall, you get more internal reflection. Where that angled speaker, I think some of the sound that's moving off the back of the speaker, again, if you think about an open back cabinet, there's sound escaping out of the back. So I think the fact that the upper speaker in the cabinet is not parallel with the back wall, I think you get some internal reflection and kind of, if you will, the way it's interacting with the speaker, kind of getting its own signal coming back to it. It's one of the things that the isoacoustics people talk about is that the way the reason you want to isolate your studio monitors from the surface they're on is not just that direct surface transduction of energy into there, but what begins to happen is when it's on a hard surface, the sound has a tendency to bounce back up internally in the cabinet and creates what's called smear. So by being able to isolate the speaker from the surface that it's placed on top of, you don't get that reflexive, oh, the sound's coming down, it's hitting a hard surface, it's coming back up, and it's bouncing around in the box. I know that's a really long explanation, but for those of us that really care about that stuff, and I probably just lost a bunch of people, my apologies for people like, it flipping matters. And so the great thing is being able to, I loaded up a Marshall 412, I didn't have a million boogie cabinets then. No, that's not true. I put it, and this, to answer your question, the boogie Thiel cabinet with one of those Celestians was, I can't use that word. Cajones. Habla español? Mucho cajones. Cajones grande. That's Spanish for big balls. It was just nuts because it's a cabinet. Is there one in frame here? Is there one that I can grab easily? In fact, one of the ones that's here, that's off there. It is one of the ones that's still got one of the Celestion speakers in it. What's great about it, it's a 112, but it behaves a lot like a 412, and they sound flipping great. And if you can get it elevated on top of them, they just behave like a 412. They're fabulous. Down the rabbit trail we went, but it was a great question. So to answer your question, the simplistic way, if you want a cabinet that behaves like a closed back cabinet, you probably just want to go, let me find a closed back cabinet that works for what I'm doing, but try some of the open back solutions and see if they work for you. Because I, again, was really impressed with PowerCab CL. And the biggest difference is there are tone controls on the top of PowerCab CL, which are a nice addition. And those can be routed front of house. So they've kind of taken a look at this. They figured, how can they make a less expensive unit, but still does a bunch of really cool things. But the thing that I noticed is, first of all, because it's a open back cabinet, it doesn't have the tilt backs. These guys have got these little things that lift out of the back. You can do a tilt back, but because I wanted to do it for video, I placed them on the road cases because it looks more impressive. But most importantly, I've got it kind of at ear height, so which is ultimately the whole point of the tilt back. So down the rabbit trail we went, but a worthy topic. Thank you for bringing that question. Chris Alexander, hello, my friend. Welcome back. All right, checking in from Eugene. Hello, hello. Strong cup of coffee. I have the Ernie Ball Music Man Steve Morse plugged into the Freeman. One of my favorite things about not doing it great, but that's Steve Morse vibrato. And he's got this skangy. He also got those 3-note string runs. Just love Steve Morse. What a great rig. Congratulations. Loving that. All right, David. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Shredding Finn, I started sniffing around for a free track splitter to making backing tracks, and I may end up having to pay for a month of Suno. They are not very good. All right, so let me get over to this window. I found, and I might have closed it. So there is this morning, I first of all, I'm so bummed. Why are you not playing? I'm thinking about calling this thing names. You guys are probably hearing this, but it's not playing through. Are you? Hold on. What's my playback? Yeah, it's playing. Can't hear it. Just my system. Testing. How to do that slide. Here's Flavio Thunderbolt. Let's see if I can. All right. So, in any case, what you're hearing there that I can't flip in here is Angelia. The backing track. So that was going to be one of my teaching points for the day, but flipping A. It was playing at the beginning of the show, and then it wasn't. Right when I fixed the mic. In any case, the point being, that's Moises, MOISES.ai. It's not necessarily cheap, but it is an online track splitter, and I've actually found it to be really good. I've had it for a while. One of the things that I used it for was the JPGU, John Petrucci's Guitar Universe, the most recent camp in Vegas. And so it was one of the rare places I was like, this is where I can get away with importing a bunch of Dream Theater and John Petrucci songs, stemming them out, muting the Petrucci lead parts for the solos, and then looping the solo section. And then the campers were able to jam along with that. We were able to use that as a vehicle. Per what I was doing with Angelia, what happened is a couple of weeks ago, I was on Tonex Plug. And I started playing over that song, and a bunch of things happened where, the teaching point was going to be, until you actually get a chance to start putting together your practiced ideas and cashing that check, they're just practice ideas. So finding a piece of music that moves you, that's at a tempo where the subdivision rate is a comfortable place for you to play at, It's in kind of this kind of strange kind of key. It's an E flat major, according to Moises, but really it's in C minor, and then it goes, I think, up to E flat mixolydian for kind of the B section. So it's got this kind of little modulation happening, and I'm very frustrated it's not playing right now. But I'll have to deal with that. It's going to be living with frustration day. I'm okay with that. But the point being is that there were a bunch of things that happened where a bunch of things came into place, and I wanted to demonstrate, a little bit of kind of what that looked like, not for me kind of going, oh, look what happened with me, but so I can go, hey, look what happened with me. This is what can happen with you. And finding a piece of music that you're like, when you hear it, and this is one of those songs, I've always loved the song. I apologize if I've offended anybody who has an allergy to Richard Marx, the big hair and all of that. In any case, the hair is bigger in the 80s and 90s than it is now, just in case you're wondering. Just in case you care. But the point being is that putting yourself in the state where you hear a piece of music and you're like, oh, I've just got to pick up the guitar. That's the litmus test for like, oh, things happen in that zone. Record them to your phone. I use a program called Ecamm Live that allows me to record the video side of it as well. I got countless gigabytes of me doing stuff. But it's neat because that's how you can document the growth inside your playing. All right, let me get back to questions here. So Moises is a great tool. It's not free. Sorry, I didn't finish this other part. I did a search for online stem creators, and there was a review that I think was in, it wasn't Guitar World, but it was actually, I think, in one of the sound magazines. And it turns out that their number one product that they liked, and Moises was not on there, was a free application that I think began with a G. So do a little bit of Googling and you will find that. And free is, as my buddy at Worship Musician Magazine likes to say, the founder, Bruce Adolph, free 99 is a price everybody loves. So, and I've been really happy with the Moises thing. I just flipping can't hear it now. But hold on, I can show you the application. So hang on just one second. Let's get over to... that's going to be over in Google Chrome. Google Chrome. Musicians make no. Where? There we go. So here this guy is. So well, actually, I'm not going to be able to hear it, but you will because I'm showing a metering. So basically, as it's got a section that's looping, you can tell by the looping thing that's going on here. The volume is up, so I'm just not hearing anything. I've muted the guitar. Is the ability to, one of the things I didn't do, is I had the vocal if you just wanted to jam along with, for example, just the drums and the bass, you can solo them, right? And what's neat is it's got on this right-hand side, it breaks it down into sections for you. Up here in the top here is called an E major, or E flat major. It's really C minor. So, but it was an interesting thing. That's enough out of you. Which is that what it didn't do was it didn't have the intelligence to go, oh, that's actually C minor, not E flat major, and there's a difference. It thought of it in terms of the key signature versus actually the tonal center. It also didn't make any notation, understandably, because if there's multiple modulations, documenting that. But when it goes up to this E flat mixolydian business, it made no mention of that. And so if you're kind of trying to figure out what the heck to play, it wouldn't do that. But I was really impressed, and it seems to get better each time. There are certain instruments that have a lot of verb on them that seem to have the most trouble, but for the most part, the playing experience has been really great. And that's an online interface. You can download all of that stuff and bring it into the DAW, which is what I did at JPGU, such that we could have those tracks not be dependent on the internet. Hope that helps. Yep, the fewer barriers, instrument familiarity, scale, tone, note, fretboard familiarity, etc. The less we have to look, the shorter the latency. Ooh, I love that. The more we can just open up and play what's in us. Ooh, I'm going to have to kind of make a mental note about that. Um, okay, do different guitar players phrase differently? Players like Steve Vai and Satriani compared to players like B. King and John Mayer. So it's interesting that you, first of all, it's a great question, and the one thing that a lot of guitar players are really, really unaware of is rhythmic subdivision. So that is to say, um, the idea of, let's get rid of. No, I should have you on stop A. Where are you? There we go. Let me do this. So we got. Sorry. So we got whole notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Half notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. And a half note can start on beat 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. And sorry, that's a half note on 2 ending on the 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the idea is then we also have quarter notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Or quarter notes starting on beat 2. 1, 2, 3. Right? And then we got 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and we can play a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then we got 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3. Eighth note triplets. And if you play them, what we're doing is instead of going 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, we're going 1, 3, 2, 3, 3, 3, 4, 3. And that's called swung eighth notes. It's kind of like if you took eighth notes 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and you took eighth note triplets or 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, you got rid of that middle eighth note triplets. It's 1, 3, 2, 3, 3, 3, 4, 3, as opposed to 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3. It's 1, 3, 2, 3, 3, 3, 4, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 1, 3, 2, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 3, 3, 3, 4, 3. And there what I'm doing is counting the beat. 1, 3, 2, 3, 3, 3, 4, 3, 1, so on and so forth. Then 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a. But those different subdivisions are the main subdivisions which are. So those are 16 tones: 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3. You won't hear John Mayer and B.B. King playing a lot of that. So rhythmically, those phrases that they play, one of the things that is valuable is to understand rhythmically what's happening. Because the rhythmic foundation, every note, if you will, every kind of. If you looked at music notation, and you just looked at the rhythmic values of your favorite guitar players, it's going to tell you an awful lot of information about how they feel the notes that they play against the music that they're playing. In turn, a disproportionate number of those notes harmonically that they're playing. This is going to be big for somebody out there, especially the more beginning and intermediate players, but for some of us that have never had anybody go, hey, by the way. So if you think about a piano player, left hand playing the bass note, right hand playing the melody, as the bass note changes, the melody, the majority of the notes of the melody are playing a chord that relates to the bass note as it moves through the key that you're in. So what happens is the majority of the melody notes are following the bass note movement. So those chord tones, as it relates to the left hand, are being reflected into what the right hand is doing, and those in turn get turned into melody. Not just the chords that we play, but they also get turned into the melodic structure. So the majority of what makes a great melody great is the way that it hugs the bass notes and then plays with that right balance of 1, 3, 4, 5. Sorry, sorry, I was wrong key. 1, 3, 4, 5. 3, 2, 1. 6, flat 7, 5. So the chord tones. Playing in tune, Mr. Doppler. Basically, I'm playing in the key of B major. And the notes of B major are B, C sharp, D sharp, E, F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, and B. Not a super friendly key, but we do get E and F sharp and that B. So C sharp, G sharp minor is the 6. E major is the 4, and F sharp major is the 5. What's happening is you got here, there's the 1, 3, 5, and he just walks through the 4. There's the 4 chord. So the notes of that chord are E, G sharp, B. There's the G sharp, walks through the F sharp on the way to the E. So that's 3, 2, 1 of that chord. And that's the F sharp. The notes of that F sharp major are F sharp, A, and C sharp. F sharp, A sharp, C sharp, my bad. And that's going to be a D sharp and an E, and to the C sharp, that's basically the natural 6. To the flat 7. And so I've used that example before, but again, if you thought about that as a piano player, you're just outlining the chords. There's unison with the 5 chord, right? With the root. So that understanding harmonically, as we begin to think about the blues, what was that? So that type of a blues-oriented playing, first of all, the note selection. So that type of thing is different than, say we're going to... you can kind of begin to blur the line. We blend into short version is this is not 100% the case, but the dudes will come if you play a lot of notes. The wives will come back if you play less notes. blend of those approaches, why people love John Mayer so much, is that he says something with less notes. So that ability to kind of go between those two things is a great point. So, and I love the fact that you kind of grouped Vai and Satriani together, guys that are kind of known for playing more notes. But when you think about Joe's playing, you know. Sorry, I should know it. I don't. I know the. I guess I know how to play it like that. Sorry. Close enough. I can analyze it, but I can't play it. More caffeine. But the point being is that you've got notier players that kind of, they play similar types of things. So this understanding the rhythmic subdivisions that they play and the harmonic things they're thinking is a big deal. We pronounce it Okelo. There we go. Obrigado. Gosh darn it. And I'm now out of Portuguese, but there we go. Awesome. The guitar in my pick is a 6-string custom carven. Neck it isn't really that wide, just looks like that in the pick. Got it. I mean, it really kind of like, holy cow, that thing's huge. Because your volume is off, can you give a heads up before playing? It's a bit crazy with the earbuds. Oh, that sucks. Yes. Sorry, love. And my apologies for the disparity, but it's been a better part of an hour trying to get all the stuff. I have the ability in my streaming application to record myself, and I kind of like, oh, this is sounding great. And I record it, and like all I'm hearing is pure echo. I'm like, I'm glad I checked this. So I'm like, okay, let's go after the gremlins. And I got most of them. So, all right, Joe, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Good morning to you, my friend. Oh, look at now. That's a photo right there. Happy Thanksgiving from Jimi Hendrix. Eric, hello, my friend. Very kind. Great to see you. Another great photo. Hello. Max Dybel. Holy cow. Gotta turn my volume up. Like 20 years, my friend. Great to see you. Hello, hello. Thank you for stopping by, buddy. Hot dang. So this is a hum canceling P90, and that's kind of why I just switched from the number 2 pickup selection. My favorite things to imitate is what I call, or it is the guitar monica, but kind of. Got that kind of throaty does. So if you bring the pick over here and you add a little bit of Gibbons. But on the number 1 position. still does the bridge position really well. So it is a hum canceling P90. That's a DiMarzio pickup, and I flipping love this pickup. And what's great about it, you still get some noise, but not like you would get with a P90. So yes, that is. Okay, Tom Atkins, good morning, my friend. I hope you had an awesome Thanksgiving. How you doing, my friend? Hey, muy buen amigo. Esteban, ¿cómo está? Did you guys have a Costa Rican Thanksgiving? That's what I want to know. So there we go. There is nothing like a JP2C through a pig nose. That is agreed. All right. Okay. Boogie in a box. Come on. All right, there we go. What's happening, Riley? How you doing, my friend? How's the practicing coming along? Gosh darn it. All right, Boykins, play Eruption. Expecting a request, but sure, why not? I don't know why I stopped in the middle there, but I just, for some reason wanted to go that part up there, and so I did. Good morning, welcome. Okay, Philip, what's going on, my man? It was a long, hot day in Texas. And Phil came in from wrangling them clients at the Esquire office. He sat down at that Marshall amplifier. Played some Texas. Esquire Blues. Great to see you, Phil. Missed you, my friend. Francesco, what's going on, my man? I hope this doesn't come out wrong. You just make me want to play fast. So the funny part is, you know, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking about, all right, I'm going to do this thing for you, inspired by you. Thank you for that, around all the crazy gear that's here. But I had there's an application. I mean, I will keep it short here because those of you that heard this, that I use to kind of bring all the audio together. And there's some gremlin where it's, pardon the expression, pissing audio in a way that I can't track where it's coming from. Been a little frustrating. I spent an hour fleshing out the gremlins, so I was thinking, like, yeah, not much of an example today, but I fixed most of it just in time for the show, but not all of it. Great to see you, my friend. Okay, Dr. Phil, great to see you. I should say Esquire. I saw your video for the Line 6 Healy Stadium. That's some sick tones. Now it's on my list of future gear. Awesome, awesome. Well, thanks, my friend. Flipping loving this thing. All right. Angela, I don't know any Credence. I'm sorry, but welcome, Angela. Great to see you. Hello, hello. Looks like an SM7B to me. I'll have to learn a Creedence song, gosh darn it. All right, Albert, what's going on, my man? Those vertical 212s. What's great about them is they're a one-man lift, so gotta love that. Pleasure to see you. Thanks for that lovely Thanksgiving message, by the way. Much appreciated. Right back at you. Since you have a relationship with Boss, could you see if you could get them to make their own FR thing? So let's have a little conversation here. Let me make sure that I'm going to kind of not. Okay. Okay. All right. Oh, holy cow. Okay. Just seeing where I am with trying to catch up with the chat. I want you to chat, so I'm just going to roll with it. So, oh my word, holy cow. We're an hour and 40 minutes into this thing. So, where is this? There is a guy. Let me find you. I'm going to find you. There we go. So, there was a guy named Jeff Slingluff, and he died of COVID, and he was the guy that was responsible for a bunch of the really, really exceedingly cool things, the GT1000, GT1000 Core, just a bunch of the really cool things that Boss was already bringing to market and was going to bring to market, and he passed away, and he was just an incredible creative genius. Most of the people who do what he does have some high-level degree. He was just a genius. And so he would have been the person that would have already brought together that, because he actually had like 24 412 cabinets in his garage. Sounds familiar. And he was just a lovely guy. He was actually responsible for the Line 6 DL4. He was there when they were working on the HD 500. And just, it just was a beautiful guy, brilliant, but super nice. And you could have like a normal conversation with him. He was just kind of like, as they like to say, there's guys you want to jam with, and this guy you want to have a beer with after you have a jam with. Those aren't always the same person. He was all those guys, and he was just great guitar player too. Really, really miss this guy. But he would have been the person that would have created that product for them. So, he would kind of, not that team isn't capable, because they obviously are, but he would have been, he was kind of doing 5 people's jobs because he was just kind of that guy. Brilliant. So I'm sure, without knowing, that Boss must be looking at that mark and going, hey, how do we take the Katana technology? And he did the Waza tube amp expander, by the way. And how do you take that technology and then repurpose that and the Waza technology and put that into an FR application? So you're right on the money there. They already have kind of the technology and the form factors in which to do it if you're going to use a traditional enclosure. So I think it's a matter of when and not if. It's a great question. Old school GT6, I still have mine. They still sound great. That's one of the conversations that a lot of people have, is that, just because it's old, does it automatically mean that it's I don't know, like a Marshall Plexi? It's really old. Still sounds great. So, yeah. Thiel, or Thela, as some people like to call it. It's a great extension cabinet to enhance low end. They're great with an EVM. So, until the relationship with Electro Voice and Mesa Boogie kind of that ended, without going into any greater details, those Theo cabinets came stock with an EV. Now they come with a Black Shadow, which is a great speaker, but it's a different speaker than the EV. And the EV is a great speaker. They're really, really, really heavy. So at one of the guitar camps, Zach Wild was at a Steve Vai guitar camp, and Zach Wild was there. Somehow there was his 412 cabinet. I think just for piss and giggles, is like his 412. He plays EV. He plays the I don't know what the call letters are for the model, but it's the Zach Wild signature EV. I think it's a 12L or EV. EVM 12L. I think but ZW or something. But, I kind of lifted up one side of the cab, and I was like, holy cow, it weighs a ton. But, it obviously works for him because he gets a superior tone. Cool tune. Awesome. I've been using Moises for the last year. Love it. There we go. Yeah, I was possibly looking at trying Moises Premium. That's pretty cheap. Awesome. Excellent. No, I've been really, it's for when you need it. And honestly, just if you're looking for Doug's financial advice for the day, before you go into 2026, take a look at all your active subscriptions. Make a list of them and see how many of them you're like, oh, I haven't used that in months. Ditch it. And then have the ones that, like Moises, like it's there when I need it. It's probably not the best use of money, but I have the kind of the premium thing. And when I need it, I flip and need it. I don't want to go through the sign up process. It's just always there, and it's on tap. And it's going to work with my students, and had it. I mean, the irony is like I'm seeing it on meters. I was playing with the flipping thing at the beginning of the show. I turned my mic on, but what did I do to turn my mic on? All right. And the funny thing is that I'm seeing the playthrough in the back end here when I launch the track. Every meter is lighting up, but it's not playing through my playback. It's like, that is, of all the firsts that I've had happen in real life, that's another one. Gosh darn it. Okay. Logic now has a stem splitter built in. And so one of the other things that's coming to Stadium is the ability to bring in a 2-track. Actually, it'll do it in the cloud, I think, but it'll separate it out into stems, which is really cool, whether it's your song or somebody else's that you purchased. By the way, just for the sake of conversation, Angelia, what I do, because I do believe in supporting artists, there are ways around that I'm not going to go into, but basically I go over to Amazon Music, which is what I did this morning. I buy it off Amazon Prime. I download that into my downloads folder, and then I bring that into Moises, and it stemmed that out within about 5 minutes, which is really cool. I used to isolate horn tracks and create horn charts for the Motown band. I'm not that fancy nor that smart. Well done, my man. Boom. Michael, I have Ableton Live. The 12.3 release came out this week and includes stems of rage. It's going to kind of, everybody's going to have it. That's awesome. Gem. That's on it. Darn it, this guitar is cool. All right, and gosh darn it, you know that, don't you? I love playing guitar. All right, hang on a second. Eric, I still owe you that phone call. The short version is that, no, this is a private conversation. Michael, good morning to you. Hello, hello, hello. All right, here we go. Blues in the vein of shred or in the vein. Blues in the vein or, hold on. Blues in the vein or shred in the vein. That is the question. That is my favorite. So there's a section of this song where, that I can't play over because I can't flip and hear it, but it's in. It's basically an E-flat mixolydic. And it's kind of doing this. We're kind of, even though it's playing, you know. Blatantly, chordally, it's just an E flat major. But kind of doing that Dorian-ized thing. But when you're taking that not all the way to the natural 3, not hanging at the flat 3. Which gets down to actually knowing where that's the flat 3, that's the natural 3, sorry, natural 3, that's kind of the bastardized flat 3. That is to say, knowing where things are at is kind of a big deal. All right, we've got 10 minutes here. But yes, you know, the combination of those two. Coffee's good this morning. All right. Riley. Good. Edward, the one and only. All right, Danny. All right. Okay, happy to. Excellent. So I will say, one of the things I'm going to do is a YouTube video that I've been thinking about. And I'm working on a bunch of things that... I'm going to be a little teaching ideas as triads, but basically, the thing about that look. Basically, you've got your that little. That's a C sharp minor or a pig. And then it goes. That's going to go to. There's our perfect fourth. Yeah, so that's going to be. That's going to be an 8. So he's going through some really interesting changes, right? So I'm going to analyze the chords and then walk through what that is so people can kind of have a sense of how to think about eruption, not just as kind of the way I learned, just like what fret's he playing at, but okay, what's he actually outlining there? Because that's actually the genius of what made eruption great. Am I using hype now? This preset, I'm 99.9% positive, does not have any hype. No hype. So those of you who do not yet speak stadium, hype is this thing that you can add to just kind of make generally whatever would be the warts and all of the amplifier, which is what line 6 goes for. And then you kind of smooth things out a little bit. With the deluxe reverb, it adds a little bit more body and just kind of makes things better. And it kind of is the equivalent of what you might do if you added a production signal chain to it with a little bit of EQ and compression in post to kind of make it so it just sounds better. And but I'm not using any hype. I've been messing with this basic. This is the EVH Red. No, Panama Red. That's enough out of you who was around in the 70s. And those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, don't know what I'm talking about. And those of you who do, that's really, really darn. Like, I didn't spend that much time tweaking. I brought the gain up just a little bit before the show, but I'm really happy with it. Okay. So no hype on that. Snowy, good morning. Hello, Adam from Chicago. Cannot participate today, but couldn't resist to say hello, my friend. Thanks for dropping by. All right. My face is in shambles. My face is built. You're too kind. Okay. I have to know don't know if it's still on your channel, but you did a great interview with Jeff. Oh, thank you, Chris. That was lovely. It is still there. And I miss that guy. I come across his photos and kind of like pretty much every time it like just guts me. Uh, so I think the great thing about Showcase is that I think for a bunch of people that have never used anything, by virtue of the fact that, now all these applications, third-party applications and things like Ableton Live, it's becoming part of the ecosystem. If, for example, you have moved to a new platform, you've got all your old 2-track mixes, and maybe you had a hard drive that took a dive a decade ago, but you got this 2-track mix, you can bring that in there and stem it out. So I think they're looking back and going, how do we enable people to not just break something that they might want to jam along with and break it into parts, but how do they kind of look back? So I think that's going to be something that everybody's going to do, and having the ability to do that and Showcase with anything that you might want to play with, it's going to be a total game changer for so many different reasons. Looking back, taking your 2-track mix that you got, and maybe you don't have a DAW, maybe you're just kind of like, hey, I just go in and record, then send me this up, but being able to stem that out so you can play along with your own parts, it's going to be completely flippin' genius. And the ability, if in a live thing, you're like, hey, I'd like to add some other part that I didn't have in the studio, or, be able to choose what's going to play in the background of a different section. That's really clever. Andy Timmons and Josh Smith. Well, thank you. That was a lot of fun. The funny thing is, as Andy said, it's really surprising because Josh produced 2 of Andy's albums, and nobody asked to interview the 2 of them together, which seemed kind of like, why not? It was the most obvious thing ever to me. The last minute, tell us something about Stadium you haven't said yet. All right, I got 4 minutes here. Silence. I like that. That's a rare moment unless I'm sleeping. I will tell you, as I put together this crazy, insane setup, there we go. So what you're looking at me playing through right here, let's get over to the right application. That's Moises. That's not what we're looking for. Helix Stadium. As we look at that, if I had to do that with regular cables and routing, that's an insane amount of cables. And basically what I was able to do was I was able to put that rig together. And basically a total of 8 cables total. 4 running to the DAW for the wet, dry, mix, and wet, and 4 running to the back line for the wet, dry, mix, and wet. And I've still got to do a little of deconfiguring to make it such that I think I said it dry and mix. So the ability to have, when in the center channel there on those 212s, is when I'm not using any sort of modulation, whether it's kind of a chorus on one speaker or the octave down, the ability to have just one of those speakers do that. But as I was listening to something soloed in the DAW here, it seems like I don't have the routing for that completely dialed yet. I'll figure that out. But but the idea of being able to just literally have, I just kind of looked at the cable run back there. Can you see it from this one? Sort of. Well, you can see it right there. There you go. That's all the cables. Like, that's just flipping nuts to have that much stuff going on, and it was pretty easy to put that together. I was really surprised. All right, I got 2 minutes here. So here's the deal. The teaching part of this thing is I want you to spend some time not looking at the neck and just letting your fingers my students will know we're going to call this major second, minor second, major second, major second, major second, minor second, major second, major second, minor second, major second, major second, major second, minor second, major second, major second. And the idea is really just beginning to think of those intervallically, such that you're inviting your ear. So as you're playing, you got 2 major seconds. So is it there? Is it there? Is it there? And we're listening for what's down below. That is to say the 1, 2, and 3. It's a half step down to the 7, the 4, 5, and 6. It's a half step down to 3. The 5, 6, and 7. It's a whole step down to the 4. So being able to recognize kind of where you can tell. You begin to just I did play an F there for a second. But the other thing is we begin to think of it as G, A, B, B, C, C, D, D, E, E, F sharp, G, G, A. You begin to recognize that when you play an F instead of an F sharp, I was checking the root, the open string, to make sure that was an F sharp. That's an F. That's an E. So checking with the open string sometimes. You can hear that's a minor third. That's going to be E and G. And the idea is just getting comfortable with playing those things by touch and by ear, so on and so forth. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I've got to go teach a guitar lesson. I should say I get to go teach a guitar lesson. Get my day going here. Pleasure hanging out. Thanks so much. Love you dearly, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Thanks again for hanging out. Eric, I will do my best to call you. Do me a favor, just text me, and let's set up a time to talk. I got something I want to talk to you about. Bye for now.